Your toe feels like it's on fire, and you can't even touch it with a feather. But what if I told you 5 simple foods sitting in your kitchen right now could end this pain forever? Hello, my wonderful health warriors. Before we dive into these 5 miracle foods that will kick uric acid to the curb, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Why? Because I'm about to share secrets that could save you thousands in doctor visits and give you back those pain-free days you've been missing. I'm here to talk to you like you're my own grandparent. No fancy doctor words, no confusing charts. Just real talk about real solutions that work. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to eat tonight to start feeling better tomorrow. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Food number 1, cherries. Nature's painkillers. Let me tell you about Robert, a 72-year-old retired mechanic from Texas. Robert had gout attacks so bad he couldn't work on his beloved classic cars anymore. His doctor told him about cherries, and Robert thought, "Doc, you want me to eat fruit instead of taking pills? That's crazy." But Robert was desperate. He started eating just 1 cup of fresh cherries every day. Within 2 weeks, something magical happened. The attacks became less frequent. Within a month, he was back in his garage, wrench in hand, working on his 1967 Mustang. Here's the science behind Robert's miracle. Cherries contain something called anthocyanins. Don't worry about pronouncing it. Just think of them as tiny soldiers that fight inflammation in your body. These anthocyanins work like natural aspirin but without the stomach problems. A study published in the medical journal Arthritis and Rheumatism followed 633 people with gout for 1 year. Those who ate cherries had 35% fewer gout attacks. That's more than 1/3 fewer days of pain. The study found that eating just 10 to 12 cherries a day was enough to see results. But here's what makes cherries even more special. They don't just reduce inflammation, they actually help your body get rid of uric acid faster. It's like upgrading your body's drainage system. The anthocyanins help your kidneys work better, flushing out more uric acid through your urine. Now I know what you're thinking. Fresh cherries are expensive. You're right. But here's the good news. Tart cherry juice works just as well. Look for 100% pure tart cherry juice with no added sugars. 2 tablespoons twice a day gives you the same benefits as eating fresh cherries. You can even buy frozen cherries. They keep all their healing power and cost a fraction of fresh ones. Mary, a 74-year-old grandmother from Michigan, couldn't afford fresh cherries on her fixed income. She switched to frozen tart cherries and made smoothies with them every morning. Her gout attacks went from weekly to maybe once every few months. She saved money and saved her joints. Food 2. Coffee. Your morning medicine. Now here's something that'll make you smile. Your morning coffee isn't just waking you up, it's protecting your joints. Meet James, a 69-year-old retired teacher who loved his morning coffee ritual. When he was diagnosed with high uric acid levels, he thought he'd have to give up his beloved morning brew. His daughter even threw away his coffee maker, thinking she was helping. But James was miserable without his coffee, and surprisingly, his uric acid levels actually got worse. That's when his doctor shared some incredible news. Multiple studies involving over 200,000 people found that coffee drinkers have significantly lower uric acid levels and lower rates of gout. The more coffee they drank, the more protected they were. Here's how coffee works its magic. Coffee contains compounds that help your body process uric acid more efficiently. Think of it like adding more workers to a factory assembly line. Everything moves faster and smoother. Coffee also increases your body's production of a hormone called adiponectin, which helps reduce inflammation throughout your body. But here's the catch, and this is important. We're talking about black coffee, or coffee with just a little milk. not those fancy coffee drinks loaded with sugar and whipped cream. Sugar actually increases uric acid production, so a frappuccino with extra caramel sauce will do the opposite of what we want. The sweet spot is 3 to 4 cups of coffee per day. That's what the studies found to be most protective. And if you're worried about the caffeine keeping you up at night, here's a tip from Dr. Sarah Chen, a rheumatologist from California. Drink your coffee before 2 p.m. and switch to decaf in the afternoon if you need more. Decaf coffee still has some of the beneficial compounds, just not as much caffeine. Eleanor, an 81-year-old from Florida, was skeptical about drinking more coffee because she'd been told it was bad for her bones. But after researching the studies with her son, she decided to try it. She increased from 1 cup to 3 cups a day, always before noon. Not only did her uric acid levels drop, but she had more energy for her daily walks on the beach. Food number 3. Leafy greens, the uric acid vacuum cleaners. Now I want you to think about spinach, kale, and all those green leafy vegetables as tiny vacuum cleaners for your blood. They literally help suck up excess uric acid and escort it out of your body. Let me share Patricia's story. Patricia is a 66-year-old retired nurse from Kansas who knew about healthy eating, but had gotten lazy with her vegetables. Her gout was getting worse, and she was taking more and more medication. One day, while visiting her daughter, she noticed her daughter's habit of starting every meal with a big salad. "Mom," her daughter said, "why don't you try eating like this for a month and see what happens?" Patricia was skeptical but desperate. She started eating 2 cups of leafy greens every day, sometimes in salads, sometimes blended into smoothies, sometimes just sautéed with a little garlic. Within 3 weeks, her morning joint stiffness was gone. Within 6 weeks, she hadn't had a single gout flare-up. Here's the science. Leafy greens are packed with something called folate. Think of it as fuel for your body's detox system. Folate helps your liver break down uric acid more efficiently. It's like giving your liver a turbo boost. Leafy greens also contain compounds called purines. But here's the interesting part. These are good purines, not the bad ones that increase uric acid. You see, there are 2 types of purines, the ones that come from plants and the ones that come from meat and alcohol. Plant purines actually help lower uric acid levels. It's like the difference between good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Same name, completely different effects. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine tracked 47,000 men for 12 years. Those who ate the most vegetables had a 27% lower risk of developing gout. The vegetables that showed the strongest protection, leafy greens topped the list. But I know what some of you are thinking. I hate the taste of kale. Don't worry. You don't have to choke down bitter greens. Here are some tricks. Start small. Add a handful of baby spinach to your morning eggs. You won't even taste it. Blend spinach into fruit smoothies. The fruit completely masks the taste. Try butter lettuce or romaine in salads instead of bitter greens. Sauté greens with garlic and a little olive oil. It makes them taste amazing. Frank, a 71-year-old from Arizona, swore he hated vegetables. His wife started sneaking spinach into his morning omelet. After a month of better sleep and fewer aches, he asked what she'd been doing differently. When she confessed about the spinach, he couldn't believe it. Now he asks for extra spinach in everything. Food number 4. Fatty fish, the inflammation fighters. This might surprise you, but the right kind of fish can be your joint's best friend. I'm talking about fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Fish that are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids. Let me tell you about William, a 73-year-old retired fisherman from Maine. Ironically, despite living near the ocean his whole life, William rarely ate fish. He was more of a meat and potatoes guy. His gout was so severe that he couldn't even grip his fishing rod properly. The doctor suggested he try eating fish 3 times a week, and William laughed. "Doc, I've been catching fish for 40 years but never eating them. But William's wife, tired of seeing him in pain, started preparing salmon dinners twice a week. She'd grill it with lemon and herbs, making it taste nothing like the fish William thought he hated. Within a month, William noticed he could grip things better. Within 2 months, he was back on his boat, fishing again. Here's what omega-3 fatty acids do. They're like oil for a squeaky hinge. They reduce inflammation throughout your body, including in your joints. But they do something even more important. They help your body produce specialized molecules called resolvins. Think of resolvins as peacekeepers that help end inflammation and start healing. A study published in Arthritis Care and Research found that people who ate fish rich in omega-3s twice a week had 52% fewer gout flares compared to those who rarely ate fish. That's cutting your pain days in half. But here's what's crucial. We're talking about the right kind of fish. Sardines, anchovies, and some types of shellfish are actually high in purines and can trigger gout attacks. The fish that help are salmon, mackerel, herring, and trout. These have high omega-3s, but moderate purines. Now I know some of you are thinking about mercury in fish. Here's the good news. The fish highest in omega-3s tend to be smaller fish that are lower in mercury. Salmon, especially wild-caught salmon, is one of the safest fish you can eat. If you can't afford fresh fish regularly, here's a budget-friendly tip. Canned salmon and canned mackerel have the same benefits as fresh fish. Just look for versions packed in water, not oil. Dorothy, a 79-year-old from Ohio, makes salmon patties using canned salmon twice a week. Her grocery bill stayed the same, but her joint pain decreased dramatically. And if you absolutely can't stand fish, fish oil supplements can help, but they're not quite as effective as the real thing. The whole fish gives you not just omega-3s, but also protein and other nutrients that work together. Food number 5, berries, the tiny powerhouses. Our final superfood might be the most delicious one yet. Berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are like tiny medicine capsules that taste like candy. Here's Dorothy's story. A different Dorothy, this one from California. At 70, Dorothy had such severe gout in her hands that she couldn't garden anymore, which broke her heart because she'd been a master gardener for 30 years. Her daughter suggested she try eating berries every day, and Dorothy thought it sounded too simple to work. But Dorothy started eating a cup of mixed berries with her breakfast every morning. She'd put them on her oatmeal, blend them into yogurt, or just eat them plain. After 6 weeks, she noticed she could grip her gardening tools without pain. After 3 months, she was back to tending her prize-winning roses. Berries are packed with the same anthocyanins we talked about with cherries, but they also contain something special called ellagic acid. Think of ellagic acid as a bouncer at a nightclub. It stops uric acid from forming crystals in your joints. It literally prevents the crystals from growing big enough to cause pain. Research from Harvard Medical School followed 12,000 people for 20 years and found that those who ate berries regularly had a 35% lower risk of developing gout. The study found that eating berries just twice a week was enough to see protection. But here's what makes berries even more special. They're one of the few foods that actually help your body produce more of its own antioxidants. It's like teaching your body to protect itself better. Berries contain compounds that turn on your body's natural detox systems, helping you process and eliminate uric acid more efficiently. The best part? You don't need exotic, expensive berries. Regular blueberries from the grocery store work just as well as fancy goji berries or acai. Frozen berries are just as nutritious as fresh ones and cost much less. You can buy a big bag of frozen mixed berries and add them to smoothies, oatmeal, or yogurt. Here's a simple trick that changed everything for 68-year-old Marcus from Georgia. Every Sunday, he'd portion out a week's worth of frozen berries into small containers. Each morning he'd grab one container and let it thaw while he made his coffee. By the time he was ready for breakfast, he had perfectly thawed berries to add to his cereal or oatmeal. Let me give you a real example. This is exactly what 65-year-old Susan from North Carolina does every day. She wakes up and has coffee with berries mixed into her yogurt. Lunch is a simple salad with spinach and leftover chicken. Dinner on Monday and Thursday is baked salmon with vegetables. She keeps a bottle of tart cherry juice in the fridge and has 2 tablespoons in the morning and evening. Susan went from having gout attacks every few weeks to having maybe one mild flare-up every few months. Her doctor was amazed at her blood work improvement. The key is consistency, not perfection. You don't need to eat all 5 foods every single day, but try to include at least 3 of them daily and make sure you're getting all 5 throughout the week. Remember, these foods work best as a team. The coffee helps your body process uric acid better. The berries and cherries fight inflammation and prevent crystal formation. The leafy greens help your liver detox more efficiently, and the fatty fish provides the omega-3s that calm inflammation throughout your body. Let's recap these 5 miracle foods that can change your life. Cherries for natural pain relief. Coffee for better uric acid processing. Leafy greens for detoxification. Fatty fish for omega-3 protection, and berries for crystal prevention. These aren't just foods, they're medicine that tastes good and costs less than a doctor visit. Start with just 1 or 2 of these foods this week, then gradually add the others. Your joints will thank you. Your energy will improve, and you'll feel like yourself again. If this video helped you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. I'm always sharing new ways to help you live your healthiest, most vibrant life. What's the first food you're going to try? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single comment and love hearing about your success stories. Remember, you have more power over your health than you think. These 5 foods are proof that sometimes the best medicine comes from your kitchen, not your medicine cabinet. Here's to your health, here's to your pain-free future, and here's to taking control of your life, one bite at a time. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll talk about the 5 foods you should avoid if you want to keep uric acid levels low. Until then, stay healthy, stay strong, and keep fighting for your best life.